Okay, for today's warm-up, we're going to continue doing some practice with mental math and trying to use our guess and check strategy to quickly see if we can know these problems. I'm going to start by making a list of 9 different math problems. You're going to quickly see which ones you can do just at a snap of the fingers, and then you're going to go check each one to make sure you got the right answer. So here is our list. Number 2. So number 1, 7 plus 1 equals blank. Number 2, 6 plus 1 equals blank. Number 3, 8 plus 1 equals blank. Number 4, 2 plus 4 equals blank. Number 5, 3 plus 5 equals blank. Number 6, 5 plus 4 equals blank. Number 7, don't let this trick you, 8 minus 2 equals blank. Number 8, 7 minus 2 equals blank. And number 9, 9 minus 6 equals blank. Now that I've got them all written down, you should be able to solve these 9 math problems. Once you have them all written down, you should be able to solve them in less than 20 seconds. If you haven't finished, pause the video and finish your work before we continue. Now for the check step. So once you've written your answer for all 9 math problems, now you need to go back and check each one. You're going to check each one by drawing a picture to represent the addition problem. So here I have 7 dots and 1 dot, and if I counted them all together, I would get my answer. So this is how you can check all of your math. You can just use a section of scrap paper for this, and you're going to check each of the 9 problems. Don't forget when we're doing subtraction, like in number 7, 8, and 9, don't forget that you actually need to do it a little bit differently. You draw the first number, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the second number you cross things off. So there's 2 there. So I cross off 2, and then you count what's left. So I have 6 left. So hopefully when you did your guess, you got 8 minus 2 is 6. Just that quickly. And then when you did your check, hopefully you come up with the same answer as your guess. Next, we're going to be looking some more at shapes today. So make sure you have your shapes out and your math journal. Okay, we are going to need our shapes, and the 2 shapes that we need are shape A and shape K. So make sure you have just shape A and shape K. And we're going to be looking at these shapes and just reviewing the attributes and how we describe these shapes. I'm going to put them on my whiteboard so I can write down notes while we describe them. So we just need shape A and shape K. Those are the only 2 shapes we need right now. So these are 2 very different shapes. Let's talk about first what attributes each shape has. So looking at shape A, I can see some attributes with shape A. Shape A has how many sides? So our first attribute that we look at is the number of sides. So shape A, I can see has 1, 2, 3 sides. So the attribute we're going to write down, which is the way that we describe it, is that it has 3 sides. Okay, what else does shape A have? Well, if I look at shape A, another thing it has is 3 vertices. So 3 vertices. Each vertex or point is counted, and there are 3. It also has 3 angles. So we have 3 angles, and all of the angles in this triangle are 45 degrees. That makes a triangle, this triangle, a special kind of triangle. It also has equal sides and equal number of vertices and equal angles. All of them are the same. So this is a special kind of triangle called an equilateral triangle. Okay, so this is a triangle because it has 3 angles, right? But it's a special kind of triangle because not only does it have 3 angles, but all the angles are equal. All the sides are equal. So it's an equilateral triangle because all of the sides, lateral means sides, are equal. So that is why we call this an equilateral triangle. Next, we're going to look at another shape. It is an example of a quadrilateral. So if you remember from yesterday, we learned that the word quadrilateral means the quad part means 4, and lateral part means sides. So if we count the sides, there are 4 sides on this shape. There are also 4 vertices and there are 4 angles. And what's special about this shape is that all the angles are 90 degrees. That means that they are called square angles. This shape is not called a square, but the angles are called squared, and they all are 90-degree angles. And we show that in math by drawing a picture that looks like this. So the reason why we call it a square angle is because if you drew 2 equal lines coming out from the edges, it would make a square. So this is called a square angle or a 90-degree angle, and there are 4 of them in this shape. Now this shape has another special name. Just like over here, this is called an equilateral triangle. This quadrilateral has a special name. It is called a rectangle. Okay, so it's called a rectangle because even though it has 4 sides, it has 2 long sides and 2 short sides. And as you can see here, the 2 long sides are equal. They're the same length as each other, and if I had a ruler to measure them, I would see that they're the same length, and the 2 short sides are the same length. The other thing that makes this a rectangle and not just another name for a shape is not only does it have 2 long sides and 2 short sides, it also has that 90-degree angle in the corners. So in order for a shape to be a rectangle, it has to have 2 equal long sides, 2 equal short sides that are equal to each other, and it also has to have a 90-degree angle. So that is why this shape is called a rectangle. Okay, so now that we've looked at our shape, oh, the other thing that shape K also has to have to be a rectangle is that the 2 sides are parallel. The 2 opposite sides from each other are parallel. That means if I put a yardstick or any other kind of ruler next to one of the lines on both sides, if I put 2 big rulers and I trace the line up and down, no matter how far I go, those 2 lines are never going to cross each other. They're always going to be parallel. They're going to be next to each other and separated. And the same thing with these lines. These 2 lines, if I had a big ruler and I went all the way across and all the way across, no matter how far I go, these 2 lines are always going to be next to each other, and they're never going to cross at an angle. They're always going to be opposite and going as far as they can. So that is also what makes this a rectangle. It has 2 sets of parallel lines, the sets that go up and down or vertically, and the sets of 2 lines that go horizontally. It has 4 total sides, 4 vertices, and 4 angles. Okay. Okay, next we're going to do some language practice. We're going to practice describing our shapes. For today's lesson, I only want you to find all the shapes that have 3 sides or 4 sides. You can put your 5-sided and 6-sided shapes away for now. We're not going to need them. So we only need the shapes with 3 sides and 4 sides. So find all of your triangles and all of your quadrilateral shapes. Pause the video and find what you need and put away what you don't need. Okay, now if you're ready and you have all your shapes that you need in a pile, we're going to mix them up. Doesn't matter what order they're in. And we're going to practice some language, and we're going to practice describing the shapes. So I have some sentence frames here, and we're going to pick a shape off the pile. It doesn't matter which one you pick. We're going to do shape C together first, but we're going to then talk about going down this list and talk about the shape. So first, looking at shape C, what is this shape called? Well, it has 3 sides, so it's called a triangle. So I'm going to say this is a triangle. That's how I practice that. This is a triangle. It has 1, 2, 3 sides. It has 3 sides. It has 3 vertices. It has 3 angles. It has no parallel lines. There are no straight up and down parallel lines, so I would say it has 0 or no pairs of parallel lines. It has no right angles. None of these angles are square. And I can tell that none of them are square because if I take a piece of note paper, which is square, and I hold it up next to it, here I've got a business card that someone gave me. If I hold the business card up next to it, this is a square angle on a rectangle, if I hold it up in the corner, you can see that it doesn't go corner to corner. If I try another side, still doesn't cover both edges of the corner. So, and I'll try the last vertice, and it does not cover the corner. It only covers one side of the corner. It doesn't cover this side of the corner. So it does not have any square or right angles. We call them right angles, square angles, or 90-degree angles. So it has 0 right angles. So you're going to pick a shape. I'll leave these sentence frames up and pause the video. I want you to go through your shapes. Just pick randomly, describe at least 5 or 6 of your shapes. I'll do one more as an example just so you can follow along, but then after that you can pause the video. So I'll just do a practice without any explanation just so you see what it looks like. So here we go. This is a square. It has 4 sides. It has 4 vertices. It has 4 angles. It has 2 pairs of parallel lines. And it has 4 right angles. All of these are right angles. So pick your shapes, describe them. There is one triangle that does have a right angle. See if you can find it and figure out which letter triangle it is. One of the triangles has a right angle. None of the triangles are going to have parallel lines. So every triangle you describe, you should say it has 0 pairs of parallel lines. That's the definition of a triangle, that it has angles and no parallels. So make sure that you go through as many of your cards as you can, as many of your shape cards as you can, and use this to practice describing each of your shapes. I will pause the video, or you should pause the video so you can keep this language frame up and continue your practice. Okay, now that you've finished describing some of your 3- and 4-sided shapes aloud using our language practice frames, the next thing you can do is I want you to keep trying to play this game today and looking at the cards and picking a card and finding shapes to match the definition or the attribute list. For example, this one says there are no parallel sides, so you can look for shapes that don't have parallel sides. Like, for example, shape F has no parallel sides, and you can find all the shapes that have no parallel sides and put them in a pile, and then mix them up and try the next attribute card. So keep practicing with these and your shapes and finding the correct shape to match the definition. Next, you're going to open up your math journal. As I said, in your math journal, you're going to be turning to page 196. You can see at the bottom of the page right here, page 196. Is your page number. Then you're going to do some practice on your math boxes for lesson 8-2. That's in your math journal too. You can also find your homework page inside your HomeLinks book. It looks like this, HomeLink 8-2, and it does some more practice with shapes. It says, look at the number of right angles, circle the shapes that have 1 right angle. As we talked about earlier, most triangles don't have right angles, so there's only a couple of triangles here that do have a right angle, and you can test that by holding up like a card or something like an envelope or a corner and see if the corners touch. And if they touch, that means it has a right angle. Number 2, it says, look at the number of sides and angles, circle the shape with 5 sides, 5 angles, and 5 vertices. So this is why you're practicing with those description or those attribute cards, because then you're going to come into your homework and you're going to look for the one that has the same description as here. So number 3, look at the lengths of the sides. Circle the quadrilaterals. So all of these are quadrilaterals because they all have 4 sides. And we're circling the shapes that have 2 pairs of equal length sides. So if you remember earlier when we were talking about shape K, it had 2 pairs of sides that were equal. So the different sides were not all equal, but 2 pairs of sides were equal. And then it says, look at the opposite sides, circle the quadrilateral with 1 or more pairs of parallel sides. So you're looking for these quadrilaterals which have parallel sides. So we're looking specifically for parallelograms or other shapes names. Sometimes we call them other things that are 4-sided and parallel. So that is your homework. And that will be it for today. Have a great day. Good work. Keep on learning. See you tomorrow for some more math and language arts practice.